Hey Dan, if you don't want to answer the phone like a pussy-ass bitch. I have all of those family's information as well as your family's information. So if you want to keep posting those stupid-ass videos on BitChute, whatever the fuck that stupid-ass website is, I'll keep flagging that shit. I'll keep contacting your guys' workplace. Make sure you'll never get a fucking job in visual effects ever fucking again. So if you want to use your dumbass degree on some stupid-ass shit like a YouTube video about one of my close friends who was attacked at the age of 14, yet you and find that shit funny, and you posted on YouTube calling me an 11-year-old heroin addict. Bitch, get your fucking life together. You're 40 years old, posting on fucking YouTube for some clout. I'll be contacting all of his family. I know them quite well, and I know all of their phone numbers, so I'll be contacting them endlessly tonight around 2 a.m. They'll be waking up to my phone calls, as well as your brother. So get to it, bitch, or you and your lives will be fucking ruined.
If you are thinking of flagging this video, don't.
I'm so happy you came back for the third installment of the epic Rose Kalemba trilogy. These videos have been a big test on free speech. Both YouTube and BitChute failed that test. If a platform can't have a few anonymous idiots hitting the report button and telling some lies, then that's not a platform I want to make videos for. Let's see how Rumble handles it. No matter what happens, these videos will be made available to anyone who wants to see them, even if I have to hand-deliver them myself on VHS right to your front door. You know, someone with a little more dignity would know when they've made their point. I mean, it's got to start to become apparent that Rose and her fans likely have some mental problems, and it's not a good look for me to be making light of that.
Stop! He's already dead!
As much as I'd like to sunset our dear sweet Rose, the story's not over yet. We are due for one last milking of our favorite lol cow. So last we left off, we were dealing with the legal proceedings that took place when Rose's attackers faced the mighty slap of the wrist of justice. We also looked at the identical story that happened in Ohio the same year, with identical facts that Rose absolutely didn't copy to make her own story. Speaking of which, you remember the reason why no one can find any record of Rose's story? She says both her adult attackers were charged as minors, causing all the records of the court proceedings to be completely sealed in a way that there's no record of anything ever happening. Because that's how records work, right? It's important we keep them in a way that it seems like they never existed. The funny thing is, if you only read the Ohio article, you might leave with the impression that this is possible, because it seems to have happened when these people were charged as minors in real life. It says it right there. They were charged in juvenile court with contributing to the delinquency or unruliness of a child. If one were to make up a story where adult rapists were charged as minors, so that you don't need to accuse anyone, because that could be disproven. Since it's happened before, you'd know that the facts are on your side. But what if you were wrong? And that's a big if. I mean, it's not an if at all, because virtually no adults have ever been charged as minors in American history. Google it. Fuck it, I'll Google it. All that comes up are cases where minors were charged as adults. It doesn't happen the other way around, because no one can be charged as a minor for an adult crime. Look at this one here. The second Google result is a tweet from Rose Kalemba herself, because this has only ever happened in her story. Why would she put something so demonstrably false in her story? Rose assumed it was possible because she read it in the Ohio article from 2010. What she doesn't understand is that in Ohio law, the charge contributing to the delinquency or unruliness of a child can only be charged in juvenile court. That's because the victim is a juvenile. It has nothing to do with the age of the defendants. They'll still get prosecuted as adults, which is exactly what happened in the 2010 case. So Rose has a story that's literally impossible because she misunderstood the facts of the story she stole. I mean borrowed. I mean, it's her completely original story. Do not steal. So that was the trial, of which there's no record of having ever taken place. No matter. Let's talk about what Rose has been up to in the years after the trial. Well, the next few years are pretty sparse. Rose spent a lot of time on social media. In late 2012, Rose started her Twitter account, called @RoseKalemba. In her early Twitter years, Rose talked a lot about her religious faith. Rose also went on about a book she'd been working on, which she still talks about to this day.
How you coming on that novel you're working on? Huh? Got a big stack of papers there? Got a nice little story you're working on there? A big novel?
In 2014, it seems Rose developed some sort of condition affecting her memory. She says she's only been raped twice. Very strange, considering she's had 4 rape events, one of which included a 2-year period where she was sexually trafficked.
Well, that's the thing. I have this condition.
A condition?
It's my memory.
So Rose has forgotten that she's been raped dozens, maybe hundreds of times. By 2016, it became clear that Rose's focus had changed from religion to fringe progressive politics. In September of 2019, Rose's old neighbor and attacker named Mike died. Kind of funny, I've never seen Rose talk about living next door to the guy who gang raped her. Like, how does your dad not knock on this guy's door every day just to beat the shit out of him? Oh right, he didn't know, but everyone at your school knew, and they were all on the internet, so it seems like everybody knew. Did Mike ever knock on your door asking for a cup of sugar? Did you guys ever catch each other checking the mail and chit-chat about the weather?
What is it?
It's my neighbor.
The BBC article came out in February 2020, leading us to the modern Rose era. An era where everyone has finally heard about Rose's story. And it's an era where Rose is directly connected to the people of Exodus Cry. People like Layla McElwit, the public face of Trafficking Hub. She'll be the one going on podcasts, telling people all about Rose's story to get them to donate to Exodus Cry, a fringe evangelical group trying to abolish pornography.
The day after my op-ed, the BBC released a story it had been working on for a while of this girl named Rose Kalemba, and she was 14 years old when she was taken at knife point. She was raped for 12 hours. And then her videos of her assault were uploaded to Pornhub. She said that she begged Pornhub to remove these videos. She had emailed them multiple times, she said, and finally she posed as a lawyer.
And Benjamin Nolot, the CEO of Exodus Cry, a religious zealot who uses his speaking appearances at churches to peddle his anti-porn propaganda film, to again incur more donations to Exodus Cry.
This copy of Nefarious, this documentary, you saw the trailer for it. We made this over the course of 4 years, and it covers the whole global scope of sex trafficking in our world. So we brought a few copies with us. They're for sale on the back table for anybody that wants it.
Dort hinten kaufen, dort bei dem Tisch beim Eingang.
But does anybody just want this one right here?
Will jemand die?
Yeah? Come on up. Come on up. All right. Blessed are the hungry, they shall be fed. Pray for us, and then we're going to launch into this. So the full manifestation of the reality of God.
Die ganze Manifestation von der Wahrheit von Gott.
We thank you that you became flesh.
Donations that amount to millions of dollars a year. With her new connections and anti-porn friends, Rose became a kind of anti-porn Twitter warrior. You'll see her constantly shit-talking and making enemies with performers involved with Pornhub, like Valentina Nappi, Rose's main Twitter nemesis, with her 750,000 Twitter followers. She doesn't seem to take Rose's threats very seriously. People like Ginger Banks. You can see her here making some interesting observations about Rose's timeline of events, things that just don't add up. And Buck Angel, who barely interacted with Rose, but got her all hyped up for some attention and drama. Unfortunately for Rose, he promptly forgot her. Next up is the lovely Maya Morena, who made some pretty in-depth YouTube videos about the rape grifters behind trafficking hub Exodus Cry. If you want to check him out, links in the description. Maya gave Rose such a hard time, she went on and cried to her litigious rape grifter lawyers over at the National Center for Sexual Exploitation, so they mailed Maya a cease and desist letter. They emailed her a PDF, telling her to delete some tweets? Are you serious? Well, all I got was a sloppy-ass email by some pretend lawyer sent from my iPhone. Real professional. Who even is this Michael Bowie guy? Let's see. Wait, this guy's a lawyer for Donald Trump? Rose Kalemba thought this was a reasonable person to send me a fake email from? You expect me to believe that one of Donald Trump's lawyers is going to be giving a shit about my half-assed YouTube videos?
Do we look like the two dumbest guys in the world to you?
Here's Rose telling her followers to mass report Maya. She's blaming her for some nasty text messages she got a week and a half before. Let's take a closer look at all these messages. What the hell is this? Why are the phone icons cut off by the edge of the screen? Why are the text bubbles misaligned and also getting cut off by the screen edge? That's not how an iPhone should look. What kind of Photoshop hack job is this? Did you only have 5 minutes to make a fake text message? You might be wondering why Rose would do something like that. Photoshop a message harassing herself?
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Why talk about somebody killing one of your cats, but provide no proof, even though we all have cameras on our phones? Why does Rose spend all day telling her followers about her countless medical conditions? All these conditions? All the conditions!
I guess I've told you about my condition.
Only every time I see ya.
Wait, what's this here? It's Rose asking for money? That's not the Rose I know. She's not some rape grifter. Let's take a look at her notes here. There's gotta be some reasonable explanation for this. See? She's only asking for money because people depend on her. What else do we have here? She's gonna kill herself unless you send her money. No, that's not it. Here we go. It's all because of COVID. See, her dad, he lost his job, and they're dealing with some tough times. This is a very rare thing, and only for this reason. It's not like Rose posts her Venmo link on her Twitter bio. Well, she doesn't ask for money that much. Just here and there. Now and again. Once in a while. Rose doesn't just use her followers as her cash cows, she also weaponizes them. She frequently encourages her followers to go mass flag and harass people they accuse of being predators, pedos, groomers, or anything along those lines. Now, did these people do anything to deserve this? I don't have the time or interest to look into every single vague allegation, and I reckon no one in the Rose Army does either. So, the really passionate followers of Rose are allowed into her private secondary account, where she tells her Rose Army who the new targets are. It's usually anyone who asks any skeptical questions about her fake story. You already heard about how my Twitter account went the way of the dodo. They also got my YouTube channel cancelled. So, the most prominent member of the Rose Army is Fulcrum. You can see him here trying to get me cancelled, lying to his followers saying that I want to murder Rose Kalemba, because I posted RIP Rose. So that's obviously a death threat. But when he tells someone he's trying to intimidate and dox that their time is up, that's completely innocent. Anyways, Fulcrum acts like he's a big deal in this loosely organized Twitter group who call themselves Antis. They're on a self-appointed mission to hunt pedophiles on Twitter. They call them MAPs, short for Minor Attracted Person. But I gotta ask, since Rose says she's 26, why is there a big deal pedo hunter out there protecting her? This guy's a real class act. The other Antis don't even like him. Believe it or not, because he's a huge asshole. He balances his personality out by only being tolerable when he's drunk. I guess that kind of works, because he's a massive alcoholic. Probably because he's figured out that's the only way people can stand him. Eventually, he gets so wasted, he starts sexually harassing his followers, who seem to be worried about him having some attraction to children himself. Imagine a drunk Star Wars dweeb whose only goal in life is to convince people he's not a pedophile, oozing his sexual filth in your DMs. So that's the Rose Army. They've got their work cut out for them because a lot of people have had some questions and concerns about her story. And we can't have that, can we? Questions like, where's the police report about this incident? How were you able to convincingly pose as a lawyer to get Pornhub to take the videos down? Why can't we find any public record of any aspect of your story whatsoever? We already know that Aubrey had a contemporary news article about her story that happened in 2010. Where's your contemporary news article, Rose? Her story came out in 2010. Where's your 2010 article, Rose?
It says #1 son on the license plate. That's me. I'm the #1 son.
What about me, Mom?
You're #1 son, too.
But how come Gord gets a LeBaron and I don't?
It's because they love me more than they love you.
No, they don't.
Oh, yeah, I only see one LeBaron, Freddie. I only see one. I don't see two LeBarons.
Gordy.
Oh, do you see two?
Gordy.
Hey. Do you see two LeBarons?
Gordy.
Knock it off.
Where's your LeBaron, Freddie? Where's your LeBaron?
Some people wanted Rose to post her court documents, which would help validate a lot of the claims she was making. But she refused because you're harassing her. Besides, there's video evidence. See, in Rose's completely unverified story, where she says the videos were on Pornhub and they got millions of views, which Pornhub has repeatedly denied. Well, those unproven views are evidence the videos are real. This may sound like circular reasoning, but what's really going on is that you should stop harassing and slandering Rose, you disgusting person. It started to become pretty clear in Rose's Twitter circle that any sort of scrutiny about her story was absolutely not welcome. Rose doesn't have to prove anything to you, because Megha Mohan, the writer of that watered-down BBC article that leaves out the most hilarious, most abusive bits of information, well, at one point she saw materials related to the abuse. Could she be more vague? Looking for some specificity about what kind of fact-checking the BBC did with Rose's story, I emailed Megha Mohan. I asked her what kind of verification she did in Rose's story. She responded by assuring me that the BBC has editors and lawyers who check these sorts of things.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
Then she insinuated that I was harassing Rose by just asking questions like this. Funny how it's like they're all reading from the same script? Then I proceeded to practically beg Megha to just give me any details at all, just enough to make me think that this story is even probably true. If she did that, I'd stop looking into it and cancel the video plans. But she never responded back to me again. Well, Rose's unverified story is also why we shouldn't be concerned about Rose's accusations ruining an innocent person's life. But I suppose that claim is a little more reasonable, because Rose had never really identified her rapists, even the dead one. The reason for that remains unclear, because apparently Rose has no legal reason for not doing so. Being she's so vocal about her story, you'd expect her to tell us exactly who these horrible individuals are, right? This inconsistency must have occurred to Rose, because in June, she started talking about how she is indeed going to finally reveal who her rapists are. Finally, for the first time, names of anyone involved in any of this. Any minute now she'll tell us. She just needs to double check on something. Well, it's been 6 months. Rose says she's been waiting to make sure other victims are safe first. Not sure why a dead guy is a threat to anyone. Later that month, Rose started blowing up Best Buy's Twitter account, telling everyone that one of her rapists works at an Ohio Best Buy. Jesus. This tweet was almost shared 900 times. Oh, did I say one rapist? I meant both of them work at Best Buy. Wait, weren't these guys rich? With a lawyer father? Since when do rich people work at Best Buy? Man, poor Best Buy social media dude. Rose and her new Twitter followers, who believe every single word of her story without question, they really caused a Best Buy tweet storm. I'd imagine Best Buy would take something like this pretty seriously, even though she didn't know what store they worked at in the state of Ohio. And she still wasn't sharing their names because of the danger. It's a very particular danger. A type of danger you'd understandably be in for tweeting the names of your maniac rapists. But for some reason, there's no danger at all for causing a tweet storm, exposing them as rapists to their colleagues and potentially their friends and family, getting them fired. Yeah, it's a really weird and selective danger. Real picky. So eventually Rose showed us a DM where a Best Buy rep asked for her contact information so they could give her a call. As you can imagine, with Rose's extensive track record with facts and evidence, Best Buy took her complaint super duper seriously and promptly never mentioned any of this publicly or confirmed that Rose even ever responded to this DM, let alone provided any evidence. But don't tell Rose that, because according to her, Rose spoke to a full-blown Best Buy lawyer who told her they were opening an investigation, but they might not even get back to her about the results. Oh well, the important part is to the casual observer, it would seem like Rose's attackers are real people. She's kind of cleared up that discrepancy in her story about why she wasn't naming her rapists. In reality, all that happened was that a bunch of people tweeted at Best Buy and they maybe sent Rose a single DM. For everything else, we'll just have to trust the word of Rose Kalemba. I always thought this was such a strange part of Rose's story, but I understand it now. See, after Rose's story went public, it became clear that she forgot to make up a good reason why she couldn't ever tell us who her attackers were. And not sharing that kind of clashes with her being a strong fighter out to get the white male pedo rapists. Withholding their names makes her look like a weak enabler. And she knew that, which is why she started talking about revealing their names. But since she couldn't go through with it, because the real rapists don't exist, and she can't just name a random person, because you can disprove that. So she's left with this bizarre alternative where she makes it seem like she's named her rapist to Best Buy, but she really didn't have to name anyone. That satisfies her story that she's a fighter, but it's also something where no one would actually know what happened with Best Buy, except for what Rose tells us happened. It's actually a pretty brilliant plan. And that brings us to the end of our video series. Finally done with this. Rose might be all done too, because of some recent events with a New York Times opinion article on Pornhub about a new poster child Pornhub victim who's also sponsored by Exodus Cry. After this article got a lot of attention, the major credit card companies suspended processing payments for Pornhub. That's gotta be a huge blow to their income. All because they supposedly hosted child rape videos like the one in Rose Kalemba's super true story. Looks like that article's author, Kristof, left Rose completely out of his hit piece. I mean, legitimate article. But that's okay. Rose doesn't care who got the glory for finally taking down Pornhub. She's not here for fame and fortune. She's here for justice. Just kidding. Rose and the other rape grifters are super pissed off Kristof left them out of the article. From Rose, to Megha Mohan, to Avery Sapir. Avery Sapir, another Pornhub rape grifter, recently exposed as a fraud. She said she was sexually trafficked by her father and held in a brothel from ages 9 to 15. But her real identity's been discovered, and it turns out she had a completely normal childhood. Never trafficked, never held in a brothel. She even has a normal relationship with her dad. She follows and retweets him on Twitter regularly. After this came to light, at least one website updated their article about Avery, pointing out that she fabricated her story. Aww. Back on topic, even Kristof himself can be seen pouting when another rape grifter took credit for the Pornhub takedown. So now Rose has nothing left to do. Taking down Pornhub was her life's mission, and someone just came in and scooped it up from her grasp. Right after this, Rose decided she's gonna move on to a new target, and she started a new massive movement to take down Twitter, with a record-breaking new petition that made Trafficking Hub look like nothing. Just kidding, she barely got 300 signatures. Impressive for an account with 22,000 Twitter followers. She went from over 2 million signatures with Trafficking Hub to just over 300 signatures. How the mighty have fallen. Alright, that's it for me. Don't forget to hug your porn tonight, because you never know when some religious nuts will make up a new rape story so they can come take it all away from you.